The scent of fear in the cold void. The storage pod was dark. Too dark. The only sound inside was Cole's breathing. Sharp, fast, shaking. Outside, alarms screamed through the docking bay like angry spirits. Lights blinked red. Voices shouted. Doors slammed shut. He was almost caught, but Cole didn't stop. He pressed his hand against the scanner and the stolen ship's ramp hissed open. Cold air spilled out, full of oil, dust, and something else. Something old. Something wild. Cole stepped inside. He was running. Not from soldiers. Not from the Empire. He was running from one person. She wasn't supposed to survive, not after that battle, not after what she became. But deep in his heart, Cole knew the truth. She was still alive. He had first seen her on planet Venera. Tall, powerful, covered in deep violet scales, sharp white hair flowing like blades, and golden eyes that never blinked. They called her a Beastwife, the highest honor of her war clan, a fighter, a protector, a chosen mate, and they had given her to him. He didn't want her. He didn't understand her, but she followed him, obeyed him, slept near his chamber door, watched him silently while he ate. She never spoke a word, but her eyes said everything. Mine. Cole reached the control room. The ship was old but fast. He fired the engines. The stolen ship rumbled to life and the stars shifted as he left Venera behind. Far behind. He didn't look back. Hours passed. Cole moved through the ship alone. It was too quiet. The AI voice didn't speak. He checked the life scanner. Only one life form. Human. Him. He laughed nervously. See? You're safe now, he whispered to himself. But as he passed the corridor near the engine room, he stopped. Something was wrong. The wall had scratches, deep ones, like claws. 4 long lines burned into the steel. No, he breathed. He ran back to the scanner, ran a full sweep. This time the screen blinked. 2 life forms. No, 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 Cole shouted. She can't be here. He opened every security camera. Checked each room. Most showed nothing, but one feed showed a shadow. Something large, breathing. Curled in the cargo bay. His hand trembled as he zoomed in. A tail, white claws, violet scales. How? He whispered. How did she get on board? He had locked the bay, triple-checked it. This was impossible. But Beastwives were not normal. They didn't follow laws or limits. They followed blood. They followed scent. They followed him. Cole grabbed a flashlight and a small blaster. Not that it would help. If she wanted to kill him, he'd be dead already. He walked to the cargo bay door, heart pounding, palms sweaty. The lights flickered above him. He opened the door. Darkness inside, thick and heavy. The beam of light cut through it like a knife. There, something moved. Slow breathing. Big, slow breathing. Cole took one step in. The flashlight caught the wall. His eyes widened. There was something carved there. A message. Lines scratched into the metal with claws. It wasn't in English, but he knew what it meant. He had seen that word before, on her armor, on her chest, on her weapon. It meant claimed. Cole backed away. She didn't jump at him, didn't roar, didn't attack. She stayed still, watching, waiting. He shut the door and ran back to the control room, locked it, sat on the floor, shaking. He had crossed half the galaxy to escape her, but she was already inside, waiting. The claw marks on steel Cole did not sleep. He sat in the control room with the door locked, lights off, and his blaster resting in his lap. His hands didn't stop shaking. Every small sound made him flinch. The hum of the ship, the creak of metal, the cold whisper of air through the vents. It all felt like her. She was somewhere inside. And she wasn't hiding because she was afraid. No, she was waiting. Like a predator waits for the perfect moment. Cole replayed the camera feed again. The shadow in the cargo bay had not moved. Not once in 4 hours. Just breathing. Slow. Deep. Calm. Why? He asked himself again and again. Why hasn't she attacked? He closed his eyes and remembered Venera. 1 week ago, flames burned in the sky. The battle had ended. Most of the alien warriors lay dead. Humans and her kind had fought together against a third enemy. But when the dust cleared, her war clan stood silent. Their leader, covered in bone armor, walked to Cole and dropped a blade at his feet. She is yours, the leader growled in rough English. Cole looked up. She stood tall behind them, blood running down her arms, half her face bruised. She had lifted a fallen transport to save him during the fight. No fear in her eyes. Only one thing. Possession. The aliens shouted something in their own tongue. She stepped forward, placed a hand on Cole's shoulder. Wife, one alien whispered. Behind him, Cole had laughed nervously. I'm sorry, what? You saved her, she saved you, the bond is sealed. He tried to say no, tried to explain humans don't work like that, but her eyes never blinked. She followed him from that moment. Now, inside the ship, Cole opened his eyes and whispered, that wasn't a bond. It was a trap. The scanner still showed 2 life forms. One human, one unclassified. He stood up. This ship had multiple levels. If he wanted to survive, he needed to know what she was doing, what she wanted. Maybe she wasn't here to kill him. He didn't believe that, but he had to try something. Cole grabbed a second flashlight and opened a service tunnel that led beneath the cargo bay. This way he could reach the engine core, and from there, maybe, he could watch her through the cooling vents. The crawl space was narrow. Cold metal on all sides. He moved slowly, breathing shallow. Each sound echoed louder in the tight walls. After 10 minutes, he reached a grate that looked up into the engine room. He froze. She was there, sitting, not moving, not hunting, just sitting, like a statue with her back against the glowing core. Her eyes were closed. Cole stared confused. No weapons, no armor, no growling, no hate, just silence. What was she waiting for? He looked closer. She had placed something on the floor in front of her. A round piece of armor. His. The one that had been blown off during the battle. She had kept it. Suddenly, her eyes opened, gold, sharp, burning. She looked straight at the vent. Cole's heart stopped. She knew. He crawled back fast, scraped his knee, dropped the flashlight. It clattered loud in the metal tunnel. A growl echoed from above, then silence. He crawled faster, panic rising. When he reached the upper deck and slammed the panel shut, he waited. Listened. No footsteps. No breathing. Nothing. But the door to the engine room was now unlocked. He hadn't done that. She had. Cole returned to the control room. The AI finally spoke. Voice command. Error. Controls not responding. His blood ran cold. He tried to set a new course. Nothing worked. Then the ship spoke again. But it wasn't the AI voice, it was deeper. Rougher. Her voice. She spoke one word. Home. Cole stared at the screen. The new destination was not his. It was hers. Coordinates led to a planet deep in the wild sectors. A place not marked on human maps. Her homeworld. She was taking him there. Cole opened the nearest wall panel and ripped out the wires. Sparks flew. The ship jolted. He pulled harder. Lights flickered. Alarms blared. He thought maybe, just maybe, she would come rushing out. Stop him. Fight him. But nothing happened, until he looked to his right. The hallway wall now had something new carved into it. He hadn't heard it, hadn't seen her. But there it was. New claw marks. Fresh. They spelled one word. In English. Stay. Cole fell to the floor, chest heaving. She wasn't just inside the ship. She owned it now, and she wasn't chasing him because to her he had already been caught. The hunter sleeps in silence. Cole didn't remember falling asleep. He only remembered waking up. His breath caught in his throat. His body was cold. His back ached from the hard floor of the control room. But that wasn't what scared him. What scared him was the sound. Nothing. No humming from the ship's engines. No buzzing from the scanners. No quiet AI voice in his ear. Just silence. He stood up fast. The lights were dim. Not red. Not blue. Just off-white. Like moonlight. Cold and quiet. He checked the control panel. The ship was still flying, but the destination had changed again. He didn't do that. She did. Cole walked the halls slowly. His blaster was still in his hand, but it felt useless. She was bigger, faster, stronger, and somehow the ship obeyed her more than it obeyed him. He checked the scanner. Still 2 life forms. Still unclassified. He stopped in front of a mirror near the medical bay, stared at himself. His face looked older, thinner. He had only been on the ship for 2 days, but it felt like months. Something inside him had changed. He was not just afraid of her anymore. He was afraid of what she wasn't doing. He crept toward the engine room. This time, the door was open, and she was still there, sitting beside the glowing core like a guardian. Eyes closed, legs crossed, claws resting on her knees. Cole froze in the doorway. She didn't move. Was she sleeping? Her kind, the Beastwives. They weren't like humans. They didn't need food every day, or rest. They could stay silent for days, even weeks. But why? Was she still? He stepped closer. Still nothing. He reached the core control, quietly tapped a few commands. The core temperature shifted slightly. A test. She didn't react. He walked around her in a wide circle. Her breathing was deep, slow, like meditation. Then he noticed something strange. She had laid out small objects in front of her. Cole's broken helmet, a strip of his old shirt, a torn glove, all placed in a perfect circle. Offerings? Ritual? What was this? Suddenly her voice broke the silence. "Cold," she said. Cole froze. He hadn't seen her move, hadn't heard her breathe differently, but her golden eyes were now open, watching him. He pointed the blaster at her, hands shaking. "Don't," he said. "Don't come closer." She tilted her head. "You are cold." He blinked. "What?" "Your skin. Your scent. Afraid. Weak." He swallowed hard. "You can smell that?" She nodded once, then said nothing else. Just watched. Cole stepped back toward the door. "What do you want?" he asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she reached slowly behind her and pulled something from a pouch at her side. A folded cloth. His jacket. She tossed it to the floor between them. He looked down at it. His mouth went dry. It was the same jacket he had lost during the last battle. Burned. Ripped. Gone. She had kept it. Washed it. Folded it. "Why? You followed me across the stars," he whispered. "Yes," she said. "Why?" This time she looked away, toward the glowing engine, the light reflected in her eyes. "You ran," she said, "because I was afraid. You still are." Cole dropped his blaster arm slightly. "Yes." She looked back at him, but her expression wasn't angry. It was something else. Soft. Almost hurt. Cole backed out of the engine room, locked the door again. But he knew it didn't matter. She could break through it if she wanted, but she hadn't, and that was the real fear. What was she waiting for? Hours passed. Cole sat near the mainframe trying to override her destination coordinates. No success. Every time he typed in a new path, the ship rejected it. It wasn't locked. It was protected, not by code, but by presence. As if the ship knew. She was in control now. He had no power left here. In desperation, he opened a private log and started recording. This is Cole Madron, former transport pilot. Human. Alone. Somewhere between Sector 9 and the Wild Edge. My ship is no longer mine. I am not in control. I am being watched, followed, protected. I don't know. He paused. There's a being on board. Female. Alien. I was supposed to marry her. I ran instead. I thought I escaped. He looked toward the hallway. I was wrong. That night, or what felt like night, Cole lay on the floor of the sleeping chamber. He didn't lock the door this time. Some part of him had stopped fighting, not out of weakness, but out of exhaustion. He closed his eyes. Dreams came. Strange ones. In the dream. He was standing on a frozen lake beneath a red sky. And she stood beside him. Not chasing him. Not touching him. Just standing. And in the sky, stars moved in slow spirals, like they were watching. He looked at her. She looked at him and said one word, "Stay." He woke with a jolt. Someone had covered him with a blanket, not a human one. Thick, warm, alien fabric. And there, beside the door, curled on the floor, was her silhouette, not guarding, not hunting, sleeping, in silence, like a hunter who had already caught her prey and had no need to chase anymore. No escape beyond the stars. The stars outside the ship were unfamiliar. Cole stared at them from the viewport. None of them matched human maps. No names. No numbers. Just endless cold points of light spinning in the black. They were far beyond known space now, the edge of the galaxy, and they were still going. Cole hadn't touched the controls in days. The ship was flying itself. Or rather, she was flying it. He turned and looked behind him. The control room was dark again. Some panels worked, others flickered like dying embers, but every system responded to only one presence. Hers. Cole no longer tried to change course. He had tried everything. Physical, overrides, code reboots, even disabling the ship's core. Nothing worked. When he cut the power, it turned itself back on. When he tried to eject her from the system, it responded with one word. Denied. He walked the halls in silence now. The ship had changed. There were no alarms anymore, no sudden flashes. Instead, strange symbols had begun to appear on the walls, carved into the metal like ancient writing. Not human, not just alien. Hers. They glowed faintly in the dark. And they moved, shifted shapes when he wasn't looking. One symbol near the med bay always caught his eye. It looked like a spiral, but when he stared long enough, it seemed to breathe. Cole asked the ship's AI what the symbols meant. It gave no answer, only static. In the dining bay, he found her again, the alien Beastwife, sitting in the corner, not eating, not speaking, just watching him. Cole sat across the room, picked at old ration packs. The silence between them was heavy, but not angry. He tried to speak. You could have killed me. Any time. She nodded once. Why didn't you? She tilted her head slightly, then said, Because I remember. He frowned. Remember what? Your scream when the fire came. Your hand pulling me from the rubble. The way you looked at me when I bled. He stared at her. That was a long time ago. For you, she said. For me, it never stopped. Cole leaned forward. You took control of the ship. I had to. Where are we going? She looked out the viewport. Home. Yours? Ours. His mouth went dry. I'm not part of your clan. She looked at him, her golden eyes bright in the low light. You are, whether you want it or not. The ship's alarm broke the silence. Finally, a sound that felt normal. Cole stood, ran to the control room. Systems lit up. A ship was approaching. Fast alien design. No human signature. He activated comms. Unknown vessel, this is Captain Cole. Identify yourself. No response. He turned to her. She stood in the doorway now, silent, watching. Is that your clan? She didn't blink. No. Then who? Rivals. They followed my scent. Can you fight them? Yes. He stared. Will you? She stepped forward. Only if you stand beside me. The enemy ship fired without warning. Shields dropped. By 30%, Cole gripped the controls, even though they barely worked. Divert power to the rear thrusters. Nothing. Engage countermeasures. Silence. Then her hand touched the panel. It lit up with her symbols. And the ship moved. Not like a normal craft. It twisted through space. Turned in impossible angles. The enemy ship spun, confused. Cole watched as weapons activated. Systems they didn't even know this ship had. She looked at him. Fire, she said. He pressed the trigger. And the blast wasn't normal. It was ancient. A beam of violet fire ripped through the stars and cut the enemy ship in half. Silence returned. Cole breathed, hard, looked at her. What was that weapon? She didn't answer. Instead, she walked to the viewport, stared into the stars. They will send more. Your rivals? Yes, and maybe my own clan. He frowned. Why would your own kind want to kill you? She didn't turn around. Because I chose a human. Because I broke the law of mating bonds. Because I ran. Cole stood beside her now. Then we're both runners. She finally looked at him. Not anymore. Hours later, Cole sat in the sleeping chamber. The symbols were there now too, drawn in soft light on the walls and floor. Calming, almost warm. He lay on his side, and for the first time in days, she sat beside him, not close, not touching, but near. Her presence no longer felt like a cage. It felt like a shield, he whispered. What happens if they find us? She said nothing, just reached forward and placed her hand on his, not with claws, not with force, just a touch. Warm, real, silent. Somewhere, deep in the ship, the AI whispered for the first time in her voice one word. Bonded. The Beastwife's vow. The stars were burning behind them. Cole stood at the edge of the hangar bay, his eyes locked on the view outside. Debris floated like ash in the cold dark. Pieces of the enemy ship drifted through space, glowing red from the last strike. She had destroyed them, no hesitation, no mercy. And now, silence returned, heavier than before. Behind him, the alien Beastwife stood still, her breathing calm, golden eyes never leaving his back. Cole turned slowly. He spoke without looking at her. How did you do that? The ship is bonded to me now. How? Through blood, through vow, through the old rites. Cole turned around. But I never gave a vow. Her gaze narrowed. You gave your life to save mine. I gave mine back. The vow is sealed. He shook his head. I didn't mean for that to happen. But you did. They walked the long hall in silence. She led him to the war chamber, a place hidden beneath the main deck lined with strange armor, weapons glowing with energy, and a throne carved from dark stone. Cole had never seen this room before. She stepped to the center and stood tall. This was my father's ship, she said, before it was taken, before he was betrayed. Cole looked around. He was a king. She nodded once. A war king, feared across 1,000 systems. He stared at her. And you? I was his heir, not by choice, by force. Cole stepped closer. What happened? Her voice dropped. My own blood sold me to the clans, said I was too wild, too strong, too different. He whispered. They gave you away? Yes. To a male of another world. A gift, a weapon, a punishment. Cole's throat tightened. Me, he said. She looked at him. You were not a punishment. Then what was I? She paused. A second chance. The ship suddenly shuddered. Warning lights blinked across the ceiling. An alarm echoed. Not from the AI, but from deep within the ship itself. A sound like metal groaning under pressure. Cole ran to the control deck. She followed. On the screen, 5 vessels appeared. Not human. Not like the first enemy. These ships were larger, marked with the symbol of her clan. They had found her, and they had come to take her back. The transmission came through. A deep voice full of contempt. Beast daughter, you are called to return. Your blood speaks for you no longer. Surrender the human, return to judgment. She stared at the screen. No. You defy the right? I defy the lie. The voice growled. You will be hunted. Then hunt. The comms shut off. Cole turned to her. Can we fight them? Not alone. He clenched his fists. Then what do we do? She walked forward and knelt in front of him. Cole froze. What are you doing? Her voice was quiet. I offer vow. By my blood, by my bond, I protect you. You don't have to. I want to. She placed her clawed hand over her heart. Before, the stars, I vow this, I am your shield, your fire, your mate, and no one shall take you. Cole's heart pounded. This wasn't just war anymore. This was something sacred, ancient. She stood slowly, eyes glowing like suns, and without waiting, she walked toward the armor rack, pulled down her war blade, 6 feet of glowing steel, etched in her clan's tongue. She placed a smaller blade in his hand. They will not come to talk, she said. He nodded. Then we speak with fire. The first ship attacked. Missiles screamed toward them. But this time, Cole and the Beastwife fought side by side. She moved like lightning, cutting through invaders who tried to board. Cole fired from the control deck, using the alien systems she had taught him to use. Each weapon strike lit the darkness. But it wasn't enough. The enemy ships began to surround them. The Beastwife snarled. They are bringing the elders, she said. Cole's blood ran cold. What does that mean? They will try to bind me, force me back. He stepped closer. Then we don't let them. She looked at him, and something changed in her eyes. Softness. Fear. They will offer you a choice, she said. They will say, give me up, and you can live. Cole stared back. I won't. She hesitated. You should. No, he said. I already ran once. I won't run again. The ship shook again. A voice filled the air, not from comms, but from all around. An elder voice. Deep. Ancient. Human. Release the Beastwife. Your species is not part of our blood. You do not belong. Cole stepped to the screen and said, maybe that's the point. He activated the shield core. The Beastwife stood beside him, claws ready, and for the first time, she smiled. Blood on the stars. The stars outside had turned red, not from fire, not from sunset, but from blood. Cole stood at the edge of the command deck, breath caught in his chest, watching the 5 warships form a perfect circle around them. Each one glowed with ancient alien energy, their weapons humming like a slow growl. The Beastwife walked beside him, no fear in her steps, no doubt in her eyes, just calm. This is the end, Cole said quietly. No, she replied. This is the beginning. The alien elder's voice filled the ship again, louder now, deeper. You will surrender the Beastwife, or you will be destroyed. Cole looked at her. She looked back. He whispered, do we have a chance? She nodded. But not like someone who knew she would win. She nodded like someone who had already accepted death. The ship's inner lights changed, not to red, not to white, but to violet. A soft, deep violet, the color of her blood. Cole stepped back as markings spread across the walls. They weren't just glowing now, they were moving, flowing across metal like water. The ship was awakening. She walked into the center of the war chamber. The room responded to her. Stone panels shifted. Ring of energy formed beneath her feet. She opened her arms and spoke in her native tongue, a language like thunder and flame. Cole didn't understand the words, but he understood the feeling. Something old was rising, something buried, something forbidden. Her body began to change, not like a monster, but like a queen returning to her true form. Her back arched, her claws stretched longer. Her eyes glowed, not golden now, but silver, like stars breaking through night. Her voice echoed. This is my blood form, locked away by my clan, feared by their elders. Now it returns. Cole stepped closer. What is it? The true form of a Beastwife, she said. Not just a protector, not just a weapon, a ruler. Outside, the enemy warships began to move. They were charging their main cannons, 1 minute until impact. Cole stood at the weapons deck. His hands trembled, but not from fear now, from something deeper. Belief. He looked at her, standing in the war chamber, surrounded by swirling light, her body taller, her voice deeper, and he whispered, "Let's end this." The enemy fired. 5 beams of pure energy screamed toward their ship. Cole braced for impact, but she raised one hand. No tech, no shields, just her, and the beams shattered before reaching them, turned into dust. Cole stared in disbelief. How? She spoke calmly. My blood is stronger than their fire. Then she moved, not through halls, not with feet. She vanished, teleported straight onto the enemy flagship. Cole saw it through the screen. The moment she appeared in their command deck like lightning wrapped in flesh. The elders panicked. They spoke old words of fear. She has become the storm, one said. She has remembered, said another. The prophecy, whispered a third. But none could stop her. Cole watched as she tore through steel and bone alike, not out of rage, but out of clarity. She did not scream. She did not roar. She simply walked, and with each step the enemy fell. A blast hit Cole's ship. The last warship had struck from behind. Systems sparked. Lights failed. Cole was thrown back, bleeding, blinded. He tried to stand, couldn't. A fire burned in the hallway outside. Oxygen levels dropped. He heard static in his ear, then her voice, soft, broken. Cole, he coughed. I'm here. I feel your pain. They hit us hard. I will return. But she didn't. Not yet. Cole crawled to the main terminal. His vision blurred. Blood ran down his face. He pressed one last command. A full broadcast, galactic-wide. He didn't care who heard, he just wanted one thing known. He looked into the camera, face bruised, eyes burning, and said, She chose me. I chose her. We're not prey, we're not weak, we're not running anymore. The screen shut off. A shadow moved behind him. He turned, weakly raising a broken tool to fight. But it was her. Burned. Scarred. Glowing, she knelt beside him, touched his face, and whispered, You stayed. You came back, he said. Her eyes shimmered. Always. She carried him back to the core, laid him on a healing table. I destroyed their ships, she said. But more will come, he smiled weakly. Then we fight again. No, she said, we rule. Cole looked around. The ship was no longer a ship. It had become something new. Alive. Part of her. Part of them. The walls whispered in her voice now. The stars bent gently around their path. And somewhere in the dark, other Beastwives watched. Not with hate, but with wonder, because one of their own had done the impossible. Not just taken a human, but bonded with him, bled for him, ruled with him. The last words that echoed through space were hers, words not spoken in fear, but in final truth. He is mine. And for the first time, Cole whispered back, and she is everything. The queen of wreckage, the galaxy watched, Not with kindness, not with fear, but with silence. 12 high council ships floated above the broken star field, dark giants, each one the size of a city, shaped like temples of judgment. They bore no flags, no color. Only their cold, sharp shape marked them as the final power in the known galaxy. At the center of the circle drifted a single ruined ship, her ship, a wreck of steel, fire, and blood. And inside, Cole stood beside the Beastwife. He no longer felt like a pilot, not like a soldier, not even like a man. He felt like a storm held inside a heartbeat, and beside him stood the queen of that storm, his queen. A message blinked on their main console. From the council, "You are summoned. Surrender your bond. Face judgment." Cole turned to her. "They want to take it from us. They cannot. They think they can. Then we show them," she said. "Together? Always." They stepped into the ship's teleport ring. A pulse of violet light swallowed them. When the light faded, they stood in the heart of the High Council's main hall, a place untouched by war, cold and perfect. 12 beings stood above them on floating platforms. Different species, different ages, all old, all cruel. They spoke in a shared voice. "You broke the oath, the bloodlines, the balance. Beastwives do not choose." Cole stepped forward, but she did. They stared at him. "You are human. Weak, short-lived. Soft-hearted." He nodded. "And she chose me." The Beastwife spoke now. Her voice echoed. "I was born to be their blade, their tool, but he gave me choice. And I chose fire." One elder leaned closer. "And what will you do now, Beast Daughter?" She stepped forward, claws by her side. Face calm. "I do not ask to be accepted," she said. "I only demand truth." Another elder hissed. "You bonded outside the blood. You made the wreckage your throne." Cole raised his voice. "Then let it be known. That wreckage is ours, and we built it with courage." The hall darkened. A ritual began. 12 pillars of light rose. They surrounded Cole and the Beastwife. A test of soul, of bond, of memory. Visions filled the air. Cole saw himself again, scared, running, lost. Then saw her, silent, powerful, bleeding to protect him. The light scanned their past, their thoughts, their fears, their love. Yes, it was love, twisted, wild, unspoken, but real and undeniable. A long silence followed. Then the council spoke again. "We cannot allow this. If others follow, the bloodlines will break." The Beastwife smiled. "Then let them break." Gasps echoed through the hall. "You defy us?" "No," she said. "I replace you." And then it happened. The light shattered. Cole felt it. Something ancient broke, not in fear, but in release. She stepped onto the center of the platform, raised her hand, and spoke one final word in her old tongue. The platform bent. The council's power collapsed. The throne of the stars split. Outside, the 12 warships began to turn, not toward the Beastwife, but away from the council. Their captains had seen, had heard, and they chose her. Not the old ways, not the fear, but the fire. Cole stepped beside her, took her hand. The hall no longer glowed with cold light. It pulsed with violet fire. The council fell silent, and one by one their platforms lowered, not to fight, but to kneel. A single elder, oldest of them all, spoke quietly. "You have remade the law." She nodded. "You have become more than a weapon." She looked at Cole. "Because I found something stronger." "What is that?" "A reason." Later they returned to their ship. The wreckage still floated, but now it was sacred. Other ships followed them, not in pursuit, but in silence. They were no longer alone, no longer hunted. They were the first of something new. On the deck of the ruined ship, Cole looked at her. "What are we now?" he asked. She touched his face gently. We are myth. Years passed. They never left the edge of the stars. But their story traveled faster than light. They became legend. The human who stood beside the beast who loved the human. And the wreckage they ruled became a throne others bowed to, not from fear, but from awe. Once a young explorer found them. Asked the Beastwife, "Is it true you burned the council with only your voice?" She smiled and said, "No." Then what happened? Cole stepped forward and said, "She didn't burn them. She freed them." That night, the stars above their wreckage throne shimmered as if the universe itself whispered, "He is mine." And far in the silence of space, another whisper answered, "And she is everything."